Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you Minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Power Rangers Lost Chronicles Deluxe Edition hardcover from Boom Studios. So let's go ahead and get started. I have no idea why I never start these videos with, you know what time it is. Then that's just way too easy to say it's Morphin time, right? But what we have here is the latest deluxe edition from Boom Studios, and this is the Power Rangers Lost Chronicles. And a lot of my viewers were wondering what exactly this is and where it fits into the continuity of the Boom Studios Power Rangers. But the first thing I want to do is take a look at this amazing cover here that shows the different outfits that Tommy Oliver wore throughout the years. You have the White Ranger, the Green Ranger, the Zeo Red, the Turbo Red, and the Black Dino Ranger. And it's always interesting to me when I talk about Power Rangers, because I'm not, like, I wasn't a fan of the Power Rangers show. I grew up watching Ultra 7 and then Ultraman, so I was a fan of those shows in Peru. But by the time I came to America, I knew it was like Japanese footage, so it was my brothers that were into it. But I love the comic books, and it has expanded my love of these characters. So you have the Boom Studios logo here, Power Rangers Lost Chronicles, the Lost Chronicles logo here, Kyle Higgins, Paul Allure, Ryan Parrott, Matthew Ehrman, Giuseppe Cafaro, and Lucas Wernick. And then the back of the book right here, Boom Studios, the Hasbro license over there, and then the ISBN, the book retailing for $75. And it is a deluxe hardcover. So to kind of give you an idea as to the size comparison, because I haven't done one in a while, this is a Marvel Omnibus, and then this is the hardcover over here. It's a little bit taller. It's about as tall as those, I'm going to say like the Rick Remender library editions, but those are even taller. That's why I love talking about the different collected editions, because even when you're looking at deluxe editions, they're different sizes depending on the studio. So kind of give you a better idea from the spine here how much taller it is, just a little bit. And art is on board, no dust jacket, and it does have a flat spine. We'll look at the binding here in a little bit. But the first thing I want to do is answer the big question: where am I putting it on my shelf? Well, I wish this had come out years ago. I wish this had come out right after Shattered Grid. So that's where I'm putting it, right before Beyond the Grid and Necessary Evil, because you get to know a lot of these other Rangers that aren't the main cast, and this is where I'm putting it. This is where I'm putting it on my shelf, but everybody's a little bit different, because this is a companion. This has stories. Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and crack it open, talk about the stories collected in here, and show off this beautiful artwork. Okay, let's go ahead and crack this open. You have some blue end sheets here. And you have the title page, Power Rangers Lost Chronicles, which is a very fitting title for the stories collected in here. And it kicks off with Soul of the Dragon, which was an original graphic novel released at Boom Studios. So this collects Power Rangers Soul of the Dragon, the original graphic novel, the Power Rangers Sins of the Future original graphic novel, the Power Rangers Psychopath original graphic novel, and then the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Aftershock OGN, instead of original graphic novel. Plus it has a huge chunk, and I mean a huge chunk, of art. Like this is the artist tribute all the way in the back. But if you're familiar with these deluxe editions, then you know that a big chunk of the collection is nothing but covers. And it's something very similar that they did back here. But we'll look at that here in a little bit and talk about each of these graphic novels that are collected in here. This is Soul of the Dragon, which is a very interesting story, because this is set in the future, and it's the future of the comics, or I guess maybe the future of the TV show too. But this focuses on Dr. Tommy Oliver, how he's about to retire. He's with his lovely lady here, and you can find out who that is, because I hate to give away who he's married to. And how he's had back problems, and as a guy in his 40s, 45 years old, getting ready to turn 46 here, I can relate. And I wasn't fighting giant monsters. I was just rolling giant barrels of whiskey. But anyway, he's reminiscing about his past. You get a little bit of like what happened to some of the characters through his flashbacks. His son is calling him up, and what the main focus of the story is about his son and how he gets mixed up with the wrong crowd, how he ends up selling superpowers, morphin powers to people, and somebody's pulling the strings. Somebody is making him do this. Like Tommy believes that he's being brainwashed. Now, how he finds out about this is because he's approached by one of his son JJ's friends, and this young lady right here. This is Anara. Now, what she tells Tommy is that JJ has quit the SPD because JJ at one time was part of the SPD. And if you're familiar with Power Rangers lore, that's the Space Police, what is Space Police Delta? That also have made an appearance in the comic books. So that's what's going on here. These villains are talking about the revival of a queen, but probably the greatest thing that happens if you're a fan of Power Rangers, the TV show, is that he activates the powers of his past Rangers. So we've got the Black Dino Thunder, pretty much what's on the cover here, right? You'll see the White Ranger, you'll see the Red Zeo, you'll see the Red Turbo, and it's really cool to see that. I mean, if you grew up watching this, and rest in peace, Jason David Frank, he was a hero to a lot of people, including some of my friends that love the show. So this story would probably mean a lot to them. And it's really cool to read it from somebody that had just read the comics, because of the character, of all his inner turmoil that he suffered. But this is all written by Kyle Higgins, who was writing the story at the time of Power Rangers, and Giuseppe Cafaro is the main artist. Marcelo Costa is the colorist right here. Now, there's only 4 stories, so let's get to the second story, called The Psychopath. This is by Paul Allore, Giuseppe Cafaro again, drawing these issues, and then Marcelo Costa. Ed Dukeshire is the letterer. Now, this one is really interesting because this focuses on another team, and this is the In Space team. So this doesn't really focus on the good guys, though. It focuses on these guys right here that I really enjoy, and that is the Psycho Rangers. And the Psycho Rangers have added somebody else to their team, the Green Ranger. Now, I think it would help in this particular story if you knew a little bit of the lore of Power Rangers in space, because I was a little lost, because they didn't really talk about a lot of this in the comic books. So what's happening here is they're invading Earth, and they're looking for Astronema. And this young lady is named Corone, but at one time was Astronema. Like I said, I hadn't seen the TV show, so I was a little lost here. But it does a really good job explaining, why they want her and who the 6th Psycho Ranger is. And she keeps talking about how she didn't create him, and he keeps talking about how he was created by the same person that created her, so he considers her his sister. And of course we've got Andros here, who is actually her brother. So like I said, it's a little bit confusing, but anyway, it's all about how these Psycho Rangers kidnap her. They try to bring back Astronema because they have something that they want. Somebody is making them do this, and it's all led by the Green Psycho Ranger here, and focusing more on the characters of the Psycho Rangers. And this was really cool because in the comic books you only get to see them really in costume outside of that little origin story that was collected. I think it was in the Beyond the Grid. It was a little backup story of the Green Psycho Ranger. And this focuses more on those characters. So there's an all-out war between the In Space team and the Psycho Rangers as they try to get back Corone, but I guess Astronema. Call her whatever you want. And I enjoyed this. I thought it was cool. I wish they had put this out before the Beyond the Grid, because this makes you get to know the characters a little bit more, and I like that. Fleshes out these characters that, to me, were just people in costumes from other dimensions. The next story in here is Sins of the Future. Now, before I talk about this one, I'm sure I'm going to be asked, so just in case you're in the comments wondering this, has any of this been collected in the other deluxe editions? No. All of this is new to deluxe format. But some of the stories have been collected before in trade paperbacks, like the Lost Chronicles. But there are other Lost Chronicles in here, and I'll talk about the last story here in a minute. But this one here is written by Matthew Ehrman with Trey Moore, Giuseppe Cafaro again doing the art, and Francesco Segala doing the colors, and then Dukeshire doing the lettering. This one takes place in the future because this is about a different team, and this is the uh, Time Force team. But it focuses on the character of Jen and her relationship with Wes, and something that's happened in the past, in their past, how Wes got his powers, how he became the Red Ranger, and what happened to the original Time Force Red Ranger. Well, one time when they're going out on a date here, because they seem to have a relationship, they're attacked by a black Time Force Ranger, and they don't know exactly who that is. So when they're attacked by this black Time Force Ranger, she keeps blaming that Jen Scott has destroyed the future and has to be eliminated. And Jen Scott is, of course, the pink Time Force Ranger. Wes is the red Time Force. So when they come out of getting the crap beat out of them by this black Time Force Ranger, she's attacked by her own team. So the yellow, green, and blue Time Force Rangers go after her, and they are wanting to throw her in jail for the crimes that she's committed. So she doesn't know exactly what's going on. And then Nadira shows up, who was the villain in Time Force. Again, this is just from me learning through these comics, not really from the actual lore. My buddy Ben was here. He could tell you all about who these characters are, though. But that's what this focuses on. The mystery as to who this black Time Force Ranger is. Is Jen Scott really responsible for destroying the future? What does Nadira have to do with any of this? And can it be restored? And who is behind the mask of the black Time Force Ranger? But that's what this is. Like I said, even though I don't have ties to these series, I found this really enjoyable. Even though it's these are long story arcs. The book has 448 pages, so it's a big book. And each one of the OGNs has over 64 pages, so it's really nice, and you get time enough to get to know the characters. Now, the last thing collected in here is something really interesting, and this is the story by Ryan Parrott, and it's also Lucas Wernick doing the illustrations with Robert Carey, Joanna LaFuente doing the colors, and Jim Campbell doing the lettering. This is Power Rangers Aftershock, and what Power Rangers Aftershock collects is outside of continuity. This isn't part of the Boom Studios Power Rangers. This is actually a follow-up to the Power Rangers movie that came out in 2017. So this is a completely different universe, even though I said that, when they get together in the Shattered Grid and Necessary Evil, that they come from different multiverses. I guess that's true. It could be like Spider-Verse. Sorry, multiverses get a little bit confusing. But I didn't see the characters from the movie show up, or at least the costumes. So in the aftermath of the destruction of Angel Grove by Rita Repulsa, again from the movie version of Rita, people are picking up the pieces. And what ends up happening is these two teenagers end up getting powers from the ashes, or I guess the dust of Goldar. And now they are set on revenge for everything that happened to them. So it's up to our team of Power Rangers from the movieverse to stop these two teenagers that have now gotten powers. And it just happens to be right after the movie, so immediately right after the movie, and you see Jason taking more of the role of the leader. It's really interesting that this was collected in here, and they didn't put something else like the Power Rangers Pink miniseries by Kelly Thompson. But maybe there'll be a second volume of this particular series. Like, maybe there'll be Lost Chronicles Volume 2 one day. Because they have enough material. Because we know for a fact that, there was a lot more other miniseries stories. Like, written by Tom Taylor or Marjorie Bennett. Or Terry Moore actually working on some. Now, the last thing that's collected in here are the artists. This is really cool. This is the artist tribute. There is a forward by Paul Schreier, who played the actor of Bulk. I'm talking about how Bulk and Skull were idiots in the actual show, but talked about the importance of Power Rangers and just how much it inspired people and their art, whether it's writing or drawing. So these are different pinups. I think some of these might have been unused covers, but I don't remember seeing a lot of these. And then you have little excerpts like this from different people that worked on the show, like Daniel Baker here, who's the costume designer of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Zeo, and all these different eras of Power Rangers, just showing, respect for the series and what it meant to her. Now, some of these you probably have seen as covers, but some of them are brand new because they're, like I said, pinups that were used throughout the years for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Boom Studios era. So yeah, I think they do have enough for a volume 2, and I'll be really happy because I know the next one that we have is the Mighty Morphin and then Power Rangers, the 2 series, volume 2, or book 2 as it's called, not to be confused with year 1 and year 2. But I wonder if it'll be the same color, if it'll be a red color. And that's awesome, the White Tiger Zord. So it's not just Mighty Morphin. I mean, there's Zeo, there's In Space, there's the Alien Rangers, and then the afterword here by Melissa Flores, who was the director of the Power Rangers content. And then, yeah, see, this is what I was talking about, that particular little mini-series. Wish they had included that in here. But like I said, they have other mini-series that they could include from the Lost Chronicles. Now, as far as the binding, it is sewn binding. Not much of an eye right there. But the book lays over really nice, honestly. It doesn't have any issues. Let me see if I can find a spread. Here we go. There's a kick-ass spread. And you do get minimal gutter loss. And that's mainly due to the eye, or lack thereof an eye, and the flat spine. But I mean, it is very minimal. Doesn't really take the enjoyment away from the book at 448 pages. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this deluxe edition, and where I would put it on my shelf. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. Do you want to see another Lost Chronicles Deluxe Edition, maybe a volume 2, to collect the rest of that particular era, all the little side stories and miniseries? Leave those comments down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Check out our Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.